Well, good afternoon, Generations Church. Again, we have just a message for you to encourage you, number one, and number two, to just get bathed time after time after time with Bible truth. And so when we share these verses with you, I would encourage you to take and read them and think about them and see how they apply to your life. You'll see that they do fit your life perfectly, and they will change how you read the Bible ever again. And so this is an opportunity today for just exactly that. So we're going to talk about a few verses out of 1 Samuel 17, and it's the story that so many of us knew for years, David and Goliath. And let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever been in a fight? It doesn't matter how many. Most of us were not wired for fighting, and we would do anything we could not to fight, but others are ready to fight at the drop of a hat. You've seen those kinds of people. That might be something to do with the anger that we've talked about for the past two Sundays, and it comes to a head in that. But this is kind of a different story. We have Goliath. See if this is the guy you'd want to have your first fight with. He's over 9 feet tall. Didn't say how much he weighed, but he had to be built pretty good. And he had a lot of armor. In fact, about the only place he didn't have armor was his forehead. He wore a helmet, he wore shackles, and he just was protecting himself in every way possible. And David came upon the scene, and he heard the obscenities that Goliath was shouting out at the Israelites and calling them afraid and cowards and all of those things. And David said, "Who is this uncircumcised person who is doing this about my God?" And he said, "I'll go out and fight him." Now, bear in mind again, Goliath over 9 feet tall, David maybe as good as it could get, maybe 6'2" or 6'5", and he had ways to go. This looked like this was going to be the slaughter of all time. But here's the interesting thing. David confronted Goliath, called him an uncircumcised centurion, and insulted him, and then he did an amazing thing. He picked up a couple of rocks, and he had his sling, and he started running toward Goliath. He wasn't running away, he was running toward. He had such confidence that this was going to be the shortest fight that anyone has ever been in, and so he's running to Goliath, and Goliath is probably picking up speed, and he's thinking, okay, this is going to be the shortest fight in history, and all of a sudden a rock hits Goliath right between the eyes. The only part of his body, vulnerable part, where he would be subject to getting an injury. And the Bible described it so well. It sunk into his skull, and then he fell over face down. What an outcome from a sure thing. David wants you to know, you don't have to be the biggest guy on the schoolyard, but you have to be the one who trusts God more than anything. Now, we don't want you to go around trusting God to win a fist fight, but I just wanted to use that as an illustration, because in 2 weeks, I'm going to do a message about David and Goliath and the part that they played in the history of Israel from that time forward. And it's a fascinating story, so you'll want to be here not only this Sunday, but also the next Sunday. David and Goliath, the biggest guy that was ever created against a regular guy who had a heart so big and had a love for God so strong that he risked his life to win a fight that he knew that God could win. So he was going to this battle under the covering of the Lord God Almighty, and God backed him up. And that's one of the other little subtleties I want you to just kind of grasp, and that is God always backs up his word. God always has an answer for the problems that we face, and that's why we can turn to him time after time. And I tell you what, though, we are in a celebration time. We're 2 weeks away from being reopened, and it's going to mean so many things for us. And thank you for your patience. Thank you for your commitment, and thank you for remaining to be a part of Generations Church. We're going to have a fine time this Sunday and a finer time next Sunday. Well, you be blessed, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day.